3-2, a history. 3-2 is the sixth song from Anger Management. In 1996, I moved to Toronto for the first time. I found a place after squatting in a few abandoned buildings for a period. My friend Fabian was after this girl who named herself Christy Chaos, doing everything to live up to that name. She was crazy. She caused a lot of trouble where she was working, a vintage clothing and record store with a recording rehearsal studio called Cool Cat. The owner, Dante, was a DJ named DJ A Bug. Miss Chaos got herself fired. Well, I was there to pick up the slack and grab the opportunity. I took the job. I must say I met many interesting and sadistic people, like Dante, the Filipino DJ with his little problems in a world of his own. There was Adam, the red-headed Rastafarian and sound engineer. There was also the owners of Arts and Lies, a weird hippie punk bar on Queen and Dovercourt. Before it closed down, it was the best place to just go on stage and play. What a great experience. Arts and Lies was a Marshall and Art Supplies store before it became a club, hence where it got its name. I met so many different musicians at both Cool Cat and Arts and Lies. From the amazing TB and the GST, that's the good sounding things, a jazz and funk band, the Excretions, a heavy metal group, many Rastafarian bands, and countless others. All of these people I had learned from and they helped me to develop and grow. There were also many other people during my time in Toronto. The crazies, the hippies, the crackheads, pimps, hookers, freaks, artists, eccentric nut jobs, rich kids slumming it, multicultural, and all of them helped expand my knowledge. There's a really cool woman named Dee who made children's clothing. We had several lunches and very good conversations. There was a month when we were the only vintage clothing store open for 24 hours. This happened after a friend of mine, Corey, shattered the entrance to Cool Cat. He had a bad acid trip. Well, it happens. Being the one responsible for my friend's actions, I recommend we stock up on condoms and sexy underwear. During those couple of months, I truly experienced the nightlife of Toronto. So many weird things happened, I'm still not sure if they were real or part of a delirium. The one experience I remember the most, and I am sure this actually happened, was when a cut up bleeding hooker came into my store. My initial instinct was to call the hospital. Perhaps I should have. Instead, because she refused to be admitted, likely because she was high as fuck, out of fear, and whatever goes on through her mind, she asked me to take care of her. Thanks to my upbringing, I was able to determine that her wounds were not life endangering, most likely self induced. With my meager knowledge, I managed to bandage her up. Surprisingly, she lived, and I actually did a good job. A few days later, she came back with her pimp, who professed his thanks for taking care of his girl. In respectful thanks, he offered me anything I wanted. He asked me if I wanted the hooker for free. I said no. He offered me cocaine. I said no. He offered me several other things that I just was not interested in. I realized that he was showing me thanks and would not let it go until he could give me something. I asked for pot. I like my marijuana, weed, grass, CBDs, whatever you call it. 20 minutes later, he came back with an ounce of decent weed. I'm sure it was the best he could get at the time. After that, during the time period of pre-legalization of pot, I was given permission to sell weed in the community without being hassled. The unsaid agreement was that I was not to sell anything chemical, unless it was okayed. For a brief time, I admit, I was a pot dealer, and yes, I did arrange meetings for others. Yes, that made me a trafficker. Also, I should mention, the door was finally repaired. Shortly after that, I met a man, his name withheld, who at the time I thought was intimidating. Later, I realized that it was the drugs he was on. Never trust a junkie. That's all that should ever be said. Anyways, later he became an acquaintance and a client. He was self-hating, self-destructive, self-sabotaging, the worst of humanity, yet at times he was a good person. I myself nearly died like any musician and many songwriters, or tragic, starving artists lost in their woes. I faced hell and death at the same instant over this time period. I was completely lost by the madness and complexity of life. What does this have to do with this song? Absolutely nothing. And everything. This song, 3-2, is the countdown to the end. A final countdown. Perhaps the final countdown. In truth, I wrote it in a drug-induced inspiration at the realization that the world as we know it was ending and a new one was being born. Musically, this song is fast-paced with little nuances. The verses are the same length. However, the chorus's length increased by one line each time that I sing it. The bridge is sharp and brutal. Lyrically, 3-2 is a bit senseless and a full-on mad rant. By Sir David Evil Midnight. Lyrics, music, and mediums composed by Sir David Evil Midnight. All rights held by the composer, JC, aka Sir David Evil Midnight. Thank you for watching Midnight Expressions. Click to subscribe or become a full member to see full content. Click the link below to see more Midnight Expressions. Yours, Sir David Evil Midnight.